Okay, so for those of you who don't already know me, my name is Lisa Rivera, and I'm the outreach manager at Cameo. And I am local to the LA area. I live near Torrance, for those of you who are familiar with the South Bay. For those who don't know who Cameo is, I'll just do a quick little sentence about it before we get started. So Cameo, we're a California statewide micro enterprise network made up of over 375 organizations, and we have several focus areas, one of them being capacity building and the sharing of resources, advocacy. We also play a convener role of the network, and our website serves as an informational hub. So you'll hear about sector trends, the gathering and disseminating of data, and we have tons of information of past trainings and a new Cameo Academy on our website. So make sure to go on our website, look around. There's tons of information on there. Our focus of our meeting today will be gearing up for a resilient economy. So later today, we're going to hear about a new program, and we have a guest speaker that we'll introduce in a moment. While we wait for that, I'd like to hear who's in the room. So if y'all can introduce yourself, drop your name, organization, and any org updates. So if you have a new program that you want everybody to know about, if y'all can share the PDF or the link so that people can refer their clients over to the different programs that you all have. So let's see who's in the room. Hi, Jocelyn. We have Jocelyn from Small Business Majority. She also sits on our EA steering committee. Jessica as well from Small Business Majority. All right, so I'll give folks a minute to do that. But while you all do that, I will move on. All right, so I want to go over some updates, exciting updates with you. So our next EA meetup is going to be in person at Self-Help Graphics and Art. We want to thank Rocio, who also sits on our steering committee, who recommended this location to us. They are located in East LA, and the meeting will be on December 7th from 3 to 5. It's going to combine networking with a holiday marketplace that will hopefully be featuring your clients. So this is the perfect opportunity for those clients who've never had pop-up experience, to sign up and get an opportunity to practice and be featured and sell their items for the upcoming holiday. So make sure you register for that. Heidi will drop the Eventbrite link in a moment in chat. And we also have application open for the vendors. The vendor spots it's free. We're not going to be charging anything to participate. We just ask that small businesses that sign up commit to attending the event. There are a few prerequisites that they have to bring their own 6-foot table and items to decorate their section. But other than that, it's a few questions that they need to answer, mostly just telling us about them and how, what organization they're linked to and how you all have helped them. So that application is now open, and Heidi will also drop that in the chat. And that application will be due on Wednesday, November 16th. We haven't decided yet exactly how many vendors we can have, but we do want to make sure that we have a variety. So we'll keep in mind the different categories that get selected, and it'll be a lottery process. So make sure, please, to share that with your small businesses. Also, we have our LA Loan Program Lending Matrix that I am currently working on updating. Thank you for several of you who have already updated that information and sent it over to me. I am working on getting it finalized by November 15th. So if you all have your programs listed on there, please check them to make sure that the information is correct. If you aren't listed on there and want to be listed, just you click on the link and then make sure to add your information and send your logos over to me. So if you have any questions on that, my email is listed at the bottom. But if please try your best to get that information before November 15th, because after that we'll be finalizing it and putting it on our website, and then it won't get updated again till sometime at a halfway point next year. Cool. So we are now going, well, actually, let me pause for a moment and just see if anybody has any questions on any of the updates real quick. I'm looking at the chat. I don't see any questions yet, but feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself if somebody has a question. No. All right. But like I said, you can email me if you want to talk about anything specific. Okay, so we are now. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Mariella just might have just missed it. She just posted that Bait Tzedek is having.
Heidi, move your mic up.
Thank you. Bait Tzedek is having a webinar for ADA compliance. So that's a really cool webinar and important to pass on. So that's good. And Mariella we'll put that on the social media and stuff and send it out in the forward. If anybody else has anything going on that they want to share, now would be a great time to pop it into chat.
Yes, thank you. And I'll make sure to download the chat after to pull all of the different resources that you put on here so that I will include them in the follow-up email. So make sure to get it on there, even though we don't, share them out loud. Just put it in the chat so that I could include it in the email. Cool. Thanks, Heidi. All right, so we're going to do our small group networking as always. And Heidi will put you into rooms. I believe we're going to do groups of 2. But while you are in those rooms, we have a prompt for you. So just do a quick introduction, name and organization. And because today's theme is resiliency, the question is geared towards that. So when you think of economic resiliency, what comes to mind? What makes a community resilient, and what role do small businesses play? So we are going to drop those questions in the chat real quick for you so that you can copy and paste them, because I know once you leave the room, sometimes folks forget what they're supposed to discuss. So just copy that, what we just put in the chat, and you'll be in there for 6 minutes. So go ahead, Heidi, and open up the rooms. And I just dropped a question in the chat.
Well,
I apologize for that.
Are we recording? Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
She's with a small business group, and her clients, she understood what SCORE was. SCORE is a mentoring organization of volunteers that we do free mentoring, and we've got on our website, we have templates, and we do workshops, and everything is for free. It should be for free. But we find that we have a similar clientele in some ways, that many of the young women going into business today are not really aware of what they have to do in terms of licensing and starting up and money, although her clients are more business oriented, and they've already been in business for a while. So where SCORE is getting clients from, usually as a result of the pandemic, from people who want to work at home and just want to start a small business. Now, Jessica, do you want to say anything about your group? You're on mute.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
So what I was sharing with Laura is that I previously used to work at the Women's Business Center and SBDC. So my expertise in that area when it came to mentoring was social media. So I would constantly be on social media. I would follow all these small business owners. And because she brought up the younger generation, I let her know that based on what I've seen is that a lot of the generations that are out there, they want to be some type of mentor or coach themselves. Either they're a life coach or they share they're coaches on how to create content. So what happens is they automatically form an LLC, but then they do not realize that they also need to go through the county. They also need to go through the city. So there is an area that these life coaches or any type of mentoring coaching business fail to check off all the boxes that are necessary when it comes to being a legitimate business, and therefore they miss opportunities when it comes to grants and micro loans and whatever is available to them as a business owner.
Well, and one thing I just want to emphasize that SCORE trains people to mentor. It's a 90-day process. And what Jessica is saying, that people try to go into this business of giving advice to others, and they're really not ready to do so. So we had an interesting conversation, all 6 minutes of it.
I know. Thank you, Laura and Jessica, for sharing. And I see Anna Marie, you dropped a comment as well in the chat. Yeah, I don't want to take up time diving into that, but yeah, that was a whole like thing, right, that happened this week that was just like mind-boggling. But thank you for sharing, Anna Marie, in the chat. So we'll now move on to our guest speaker, but we're going to have Frank is Frank here? No, Frank jumped off. I don't see him.
Yes, I'm here.
He's here.
Oh,
I am
weird.
here.
Oh, there you are. Oh my God, you're right next to me. I didn't see you. Oh my goodness. I was like, where did he go? Okay, so I'm gonna toss it over to Frank. Frank is part of our Entrepreneurship Advantage Steering Committee, and he is the Director of Business Entrepreneurial Stewardship Training Mobile Accelerator at Best Mobile Accelerator. So I will let him speak a little bit more about himself, about EA, and introduce our guest speaker. I'll toss it over to you now, Frank. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. And good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Frank Stokes, and I'm here with Bethel LA CDC. As already shared, I am the director of the Best Mobile Accelerator there, and it's always a privilege to join everyone. Now, a little bit about the Entrepreneurship Advantage. Our purpose was and is to create an ecosystem promoting economic opportunity for entrepreneurs and small businesses in LA County by connecting human, technical, capital, resources through regional collaborations. And what I would like to say is please visit our website. And also, if you haven't already, we encourage you to join us. So again, thanks for being here with us today. And I'd like to ask a question to everyone here. Who has heard of the Community Economic Resiliency Fund, or CERF, as it's pronounced? If so, raise your hand or post some other reaction or put an emoji into the chat. You good for a moment? Okay, so CERF is a $600 million program it's allocated to 13 different regions across the state for economic resilience. And we want to make sure small business is a part of that effort in Los Angeles, of course. So today, we're thrilled to have Suleiman or Suli Kenyatta, the policy manager for the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation, to tell us what the LA region application looks like and what to expect, how to get involved. So it's my great pleasure to introduce to you all and turn this over to Suli. But before you tell us, Suli, give us a brief overview of LA EDC. So I'm going to give you the floor, or I'll give you the mic, sir. Thank you.
No, thank you, Frank. I really appreciate that introduction. I was like, we might have to end it here after that. Well, it's still morning, so good morning, everybody. My name is Suli Kenyatta. As Frank mentioned, I'm the policy manager at LAEDC. Really excited to be here with you all today. I got an opportunity to attend the in-person event back in July, which was my first Entrepreneurship Advantage meeting. I was really blown away by the companies that were there, the presentations. It was great to hear a lot about policy wins from the legislative session. So I've already registered for the holiday mixer. So I've already done that. I know what sweater I'm going to wear. So really excited to see everybody in person from there, and hopefully get a chance to connect with you all a little bit more on some different initiatives. Before I kind of dive in, just want to give a brief overview of myself. So it's not a random stranger talking to you. But I'm an LA transplant, originally from the East Coast. Did some policy work in DC, but when I first moved to LA, I was actually working for an accelerator. So really interested and passionate about small businesses, just getting them the technical capacity as well as the capital to really thrive, especially here in LA. Small business is really the backbone of the entire economy, really. So really, I had a chance to talk in my group with Rosalinda, talking about just how, even across the Southern California region, just how important small businesses play in the total economy. So I'm just going to give a short presentation on just LAEDC. I think there's a lot of opportunity for this coalition, for LAEDC to support this coalition. Just want to give a brief overview of some of the services that we provide, but definitely hoping that we can follow up and see if there's any part that we all want to make sure to follow up with. So I'm going to share the screen right here. Are you all able to see that? We'll go full screen. There we go. So just to give a brief overview of LAEDC. So LAEDC stands for the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation. Despite the name, we're actually separate from the county itself. So we're not a government entity, we're a nonprofit. But we do help support the county and the Board of Supervisors in developing their economic development strategy, working with their industry, and just really bringing up the growth for the entire region in itself. And before somebody asks a question, that is a pirate leg on me right there. So funny story, I ended up tearing my Achilles and had to really climb up this hill with my crutch. So that was an adventure in itself. But we really focus on bringing up the entire region itself, really helping with kind of more of a data-driven approach. We do these through kind of a lot of the departments that we have, specifically through workforce development, our World Trade Center. I'll get a little bit more about it in itself, but we really are looking to see how we can make LA County really an equitable, resilient county that everybody can really thrive in. It's a huge region in itself. There's just a lot of different opportunities. So it's really making sure that everybody has that opportunity to really thrive and grow. And really our vision for LA County in itself when it comes to economic development is how do we really find those opportunities where people can really participate. A lot of times in LA, there's a lot of communities that are often left out or disinvested. And so we're looking at different initiatives where we can ensure to incorporate those voices in those conversations. And I think that's really exciting where the SURF is going to be coming into play. And to just give a kind of a broad structural overview of LAEDC. So we do have our own Institute for Applied Economics. As I mentioned, we are trying to focus on more data-driven approach. So they really help drive what are the initiatives that we should focus on, the communities that we should be trying to target. And through that research, we have 4 main silos. We have our World Trade Center focusing more on the international foreign direct investment side. We have our Strategic Initiatives Department. And so that's where that Community Economics Resilience Fund will be housed. I was talking to Frank about this earlier. Another initiative we have is our Digital Divide here in LA County. So kind of what are the special initiatives that we can really focus on in the short term to really cause that change and that growth. We have our workforce development that we partner with a lot of the community colleges and connecting those curriculums and those students with different opportunities across the county. And then we have our business assistance program, which is specifically focused on helping small businesses here in the county gain access to different resources. So I just wanted to focus actually on the business assistance program, because I think that's what will provide more value or the most value for this coalition. But if there's any other information regarding those other three, I'm happy to definitely follow up and hop on a one-on-one call with anybody. So our business assistance program is actually one of our longest running programs. I think it was made created in 1996. So they definitely provide a lot of the resources to businesses that reach out to them. So I'm actually jealous because I sit behind a desk, but they're actually in the community talking to businesses, really focused on that engagement. And the best part of that is that all those services they provide are free of cost. So I think that's something that we've been really trying to get the word out about, get more businesses just interested and really just to engage to see how we can help them. A lot of the managers on the team are really focused and connected in the community. So they're able to provide a lot of different resources, a lot of the network, whether it's through any of the chambers or any specific state funding that's coming down. So definitely want to make sure to uplift this to this group, because I know you all work with a lot of different micro enterprises, a lot of different small businesses. And I think that this could be a good way for also where we could provide some leverage and support to you all as well in this coalition. But yeah, as I said, like all of this is free of charge. We are contracted with the county to provide these services for businesses in LA. So we definitely want to make sure we're able to do that, and that all the advantages are being able to be taken care of. And then, so I just wanted to give a brief overview of LAEDC, and then I was going to go into talking a little bit more about the Community Economics Resilience Fund. So as Frank mentioned, this is a new program that's coming down from the state. I think I saw somebody in the chat said that they're part of the Inland Empire kind of application. And so what the state has done is they divided California into 13 different regions, and LA County in itself is its own specific region. And so this is a program that kind of been in legislation for a couple of years now, but it was just passed this past last cycle. So as Frank mentioned, it's a $600 million fund specifically focused on economic resiliency. And I love those questions that were dropped in the chat for the discussion. I think that's often something that isn't really talked about in terms of like, what is resiliency, especially when it comes to small businesses. And I think this is the perfect timing for funding like this, because coming out of the pandemic, we just saw how resilience can really ensure that businesses, but also residents are able to continue to thrive when there's different like economic shocks. And so the idea of this funding is to see how we can create those economic resilience strategies specifically for different regions, which is why they split them up. And so that we're really trying to help set the foundation and plan for what LA County is going to be looking like in terms of the different, the workforce development, different opportunities, and different resources that will be coming to the region in the future. So three main program objectives. So one thing that's different about this program is that a lot of times the funding and the planning has come from the state. For this one, they really want to focus more on the community level. How those community level discussions can really contribute to that plan and really help develop it. So really a bottoms up approach or a grassroots approach compared to the grass tops approach that has been done in the past. And they really want to have a focus on more inclusive planning, which is why we're trying to get as many voices as possible to contribute and just participate. It's a 2-year plan in terms of the entire phases, which I'll talk about next. So there's plenty of opportunity to have some touch points and to really, and to really, just lend your voice and your insight into some of the conversations that are happening. And as I mentioned, it's two different phases. So we're currently or about to enter the planning phase. So it's the perfect opportunity to really, voice your experience in terms of like kind of the issues or the challenges that you all have faced or you have helped other small businesses overcome. And then the next phase will be the implementation phase, where we'll actually be identifying different projects that we can fund using that $600 million to really go out and develop here in LA County. And as I mentioned, like, it's a really inclusive process. So it's actually mandated that we have to have voices from all these different entity groups. So we've been having it's like we just put in a proposal at the end of July. We just had conversations over the last month to kind of talk about what it could possibly look like. Specifically, and for this coalition, we definitely need those businesses, especially like the employers, to kind of understand like what are the challenges that you all are dealing with, and how kind of those cross-sectoral conversations can really find some solutions to those. But yeah, on this slide, we've just been really doing outreach. So we have almost over 220 now, organizations, businesses, residents that have really contributed to the conversation. And we're just hoping to continue to really expand that pool of people, because it's not until we get a good amount of people, we want to make sure that all voices are represented. So as I mentioned, the first part is just a planning phase. And part of that planning phase is research in terms of like, what are the challenges that businesses, residents face here in LA County specifically? As we mentioned, like the resiliency side, like what are some of the economic shocks that we should have to prepare for? Where are our strengths? Where are our weaknesses? Where are the potential growths in different industries or sectors that we could focus on, specifically for businesses and residents? And where are we just lacking? I think that's going to be, it's a really good asset mapping for LA County, especially given all the different voices that will be involved in the conversation. So with that research is when we'll be able to really kind of go in and kind of develop a plan to how we want to move forward. And as mentioned at the beginning, a lot of this is focused on our disinvested communities here in LA. And as you may know, there are a lot of disinvested communities in LA where that just not got a lot of the resources specifically. So we're really trying to focus on those communities specifically in terms of how do we ensure that those resources are able to get them and make sure that we can maximize that impact. And just to give a visual representation, we used our research institute to kind of map out which communities here in LA County would actually be able to be considered as a disinvested community. As you can see, it's all across the region. So we have a lot of opportunity to drive some of that change and that funding to some of those resources and really make a county-wide approach in terms of how we move things forward. But yeah, I saw this map. I was like, wow, this is, this is pretty serious in terms of, like you said, a lot of the communities based on census tracts of how they're going to kind of go about ensuring that they're able to improve. And one of the ideas that we've definitely wanted to just come up with and really prioritize is really an inclusive process. And we want everybody to have a voice, everybody to be at a table. One of the themes that we've really brought up is a table of tables. So ensuring that small businesses have a table, ensuring that community colleges have a table. So where each group can really talk within themselves and kind of really discuss some of the challenges that everybody deals with, and then bring those voices together and really seeing how we can really shape those policies and those strategies to really address all of them.
So like, how is that going to work in LA? Like, did you guys come up with, have you guys come up with the governance model? Because I could tell you, like in the Bay Area, and maybe Jocelyn, you can speak to what they're doing in the Inland Empire, right? The Bay Area is like 9 different counties, so it's kind of complicated. And a lot of them, like we have Sonoma and Napa, which are very different from San Francisco, which are very different from the East Bay, which is different from the South Bay. So they have a steering committee, and I think that everybody needs to each region needs to have one of those, right? And then they're going to do regional groups, and then they're going to do have like an outreach committee. I don't know
Everybody's pretty much structured the same. Because of a
Okay.
lot, that's part of the, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's part of the application is you have to have a collaborative, and there's supposed to be one collaborative per region, and you have to bring in all the key stakeholders from every background and show that you're inclusive and you have all the players there in place. And so there's the governance committee, the outreach committee, there's like a budget committee, the financing. So there's
Oh, right,
several
right,
different
right, yeah.
committees.
And then there's
there's
the
this,
administrator, right? Then,
and
yeah.
then there's the steering committee. And so each committee is responsible for each section of the application, and how you're going to take over that role in the region.
Mhm.
No, it's an interesting program. I don't think it's ever kind of been done before, where you say you're trying to bring in all these different groups. So the way that we've kind of described it in our application is that we went it by geography, since LA County is so kind of so expansive. So we were really breaking it down through the special planning area. So kind of like the spas that have been already delineated. And so we're really focusing on, like, say, South LA, like West LA. So each person has its own geography, but also we want to have tables per industry. So as I said, like businesses will have their own table. And then from there, every table is kind of be leading their own conversations. It's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah,
And so,
this is
yeah,
especially for for
for
like,
LA especially, I think we're giving, like, I think we might have been one of the hardest hardest regions to really coalesce everybody together and like kind of plan that out. The good thing is that it's still shaping up as it's going to kind of go. So I think I was going to mention this later. So we would have already supposed to have heard back from the state. This program was going to kick off on October 1st. But unfortunately, we have not heard, nobody has heard anything yet. So we're looking right now like an early November start date, which I think is great, because that means it gives us more time to do more outreach to different coalitions such as this, to really invite people to the conversation. Because it's still early, the program hasn't even started yet, which is great. But yeah, as you said, it's going to be a learning experience, I feel, for everybody involved. But I think it's going to be the best way to really develop those strategies. It's going to be that inclusive model for sure.
yeah, because I think that's interesting. I don't think we're doing it in the Bay Area by industry. So, I mean, I think by region might kind of gear toward, like, the South Bay is going to be specifically tech heavy, right? Can I ask you another question? Go ahead, keep going, then I'll
Oh
ask you a
yeah, I
question
think I
at
just
the
had
end.
like one more. Let me see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to like let everybody know just how, like I said, the program has not kicked off yet, which is great. So you saw that 220 that we've hit. We're really trying to get it to 500 in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, we're pushing heavy on the outreach right now. But as Jocelyn said, like, we have a whole outreach committee that's kind of focused on different strategies, ensuring that we can really just get the information out there. I think the biggest challenge is letting people know it's happening so that they can, be invited to those conversations. So I just wanted to make sure that this slide. So we actually have a meeting tomorrow morning. I'd love to send the invite out as a follow-up email, but what we're going to do is just kind of give a brief overview for anybody that's new to the HRTC, which is the group that's going to be really shaping this economic development plan. But also just invite people, kind of like an onboarding process for anybody that's really interested in wanting to attend. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I'm going to drop in some links that I think would provide really a good overview of the project, but also just showing how we can all just get engaged.
Yeah. So, and can you explain the role of the clean, right? This is also, there was some kind of clean tech thing involved in
it. Was like a carbon neutral
everything
economy.
doesn't have to be carbon. Like, how does that, jive with the like serving the underserved areas, right? Like, do they have to, is it a Venn diagram and you have to be in the middle, or is it both things?
No, that's a great question. And that's one of the questions that we posed to the state. So when they literally like, they gave us a broad general terms and said, okay, figure it out. But when they give the announcement, they're supposed to actually give a little bit more detailed information regarding, like you said, what that structure is going to look like. Because as you said, it's like not everybody is going to be more focused on that carbon neutral side. But I
Right.
think there would be other ways where we can get involved regarding, you said like technical assistance and like different capacity building. Maybe not
Right.
specifically within those industries itself.
Right. Right. Okay. So the state hasn't been clear on if it's like two separate circles or there's an intersection that you have to operate in. Okay. I'm hoping there's two separate circles, because I mean, I think it's really, yeah. I mean, I think
Yeah, just
there's,
so it's not
it just-
limiting basically as well too.
yeah,
in
because
terms
low
of-
income communities aren't necessarily going to be swimming in tech stuff, right? Maybe energy efficiency, and maybe, like there's some ways that they could get at it, but not necessarily.
Yeah, I'm not sure how tech heavy it is kind of like meant to be, but I know kind of just the overview of, you said that carbon neutral side of like, how can we make, say, businesses more sustainable? But as you mentioned, like I'm hoping that they'll give more guidance as well. I just dropped in the link to the SURF page that we've kind of just spun up really quickly, just as a repository for any interested stakeholders to kind of read more about it. So on that page, you will see kind of a little bit more about the program. We created kind of a one-pager because the state basically gave us like a 40-page solicitation for a proposal, and they were saying, figure it out. So we're like, okay, how can we really break this down and condense it so it's a little bit more digestible? So we made that one-pager, but also we made sure to add any like meeting notes that we've been doing, and also making sure to put any all the registration for anybody that really wants to join that conversation.
Cool. So, any
I have a
other
question.
questions for?
I know this is a high level one. I would definitely suggest, you said, anybody that wants to just learn more, a little bit more about the details. We do have a call tomorrow at 9 a.m. and we'll have it the cadence bi-weekly for onboarding, because like you said, it might be a lot to kind of read about.
Yeah, and Jocelyn, what are you guys doing in the Inland Empire for small business? If you're able to go off mute, maybe she can.
Hi,
go off
sorry.
mute.
It was switching to Bluetooth. I'm running late to go pick up my daughter from school. Mom life. So, doing is they're submitting the different programs and projects. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it came backward. Anyways, so you're submitting the programs and the projects that are
Yeah, we're losing you, Jocelyn.
piece, whether it's workforce, small business, housing. The purpose is to highlight what the need is, what the issue is, and how you're going to improve upon it. So every region is different. You mentioned up north, and it's probably more tech heavy, but then they have to talk about how they're going to get access to those same opportunities to low income folks.
Yeah, but what are you guys doing in like, how are you engaging the small business community? Maybe that's a different question.
Well, right now it's not really engaging the small business community, because the first part was getting the application completed. So it was engaging the stakeholders to join the collaborative, to sign on, to see how many, to make sure that we got all the areas covered. You even have to have the Native American tribe in your area on for your
Okay,
application to even be considered. So
Okay.
that was the first step. So the first step was getting all the players in place and seeking funding. So the first application is to seek $5 million to do the planning. So you had to show that you brought a collaborative together, what the needs are, who's at the table, and what your plan, what you would like your plan to be. And then if you get awarded the $5 million, it's so that you can put the plan together.
right,
And then the next step, several processes. After that, the next step is to go after the bigger pot of money.
right, right. So
So
like,
it's step by step.
yeah, so there's almost 550 million
Mhm.
coming down the pike after the planning process, and the planning process is like a 2 years. So
Yeah.
all right, so that's really interesting. So there's plenty of time to get small business involved. Like we had so much trouble at the beginning when a program was announced, trying to figure out, because they haven't announced who's got the money yet, right? Right. And that's going to come, we expect that late October, so the program can start November. Is that right, Sully, Jocelyn? That's what I heard.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, at this point, with it supposed to have started in October, with us already being on the 13th, yeah, it'd probably have to be sometime November, mid-November.
Yeah.
Which we hope just means we can extend the kind of
Yeah.
deadlines
Uh-huh.
and then give us a little bit more chance to do that outreach and engagement.
Right. Cool.
But no, as you
Sully, I have a question. Can you give us any examples of outcomes or deliverables that are expected?
So right now, as Jocelyn mentioned, the first deliverable for that planning phase is just going to really be an asset mapping of LA County in terms of like the communities that we should be focused on, in terms of like the different residents we should be focused on, the small businesses we should be focused on. So it's really just going to be that information gathering. And then from that asset mapping is where we can really identify different projects that we can help focus on those weaknesses and really overcome those challenges. But that'll be in the next phase,
Okay.
which I think is going to really be those actionable deliverables where that funding is going to go into and really help develop either those entities or those projects and initiatives that will really help address those challenges.
Thank you.
Cool. And I asked Sully to come on. I met him at the thing. This is like too big of a pot of money for us to be sitting on the sidelines and not getting some for small business development and the small business ecosystem.
Absolutely.
So that's why I have, that's why I think we brought this to you all, and want to make sure, one, you guys know about it, and you could start sort of thinking, and we have ideas at Cameo, but thinking what are good projects to run in the LA area regarding small business development, and what do we want to do? How do we want to support the ecosystem? And there's a big potential, I think, here to get more people to know about your services. Like you have the services, we can we drive demand and then help you build capacity, that kind of thing. So, start thinking, as they said, there's going to be lots of projects. They're going to all sorts of economic development. But we want to make sure that small businesses is at the table and the ecosystem's bolstered by this project.
No, definitely agree. And I would say if there's like a united voice through this coalition, I think that would definitely provide some good strength in terms of like being able to really consolidate and coalesce all the voices here, and get that input into the groups. Because I know if everybody can't join, we definitely want to still make sure that small businesses are at the table.
So cool. Are you engaged with one last question, then I'm done. Sorry. Are you engaged with other small business groups in LA and the LA area? Have other small businesses reached out? And
not any like groups itself. We have had like small individual small businesses that have come in and kind of joined the conversations. So if you all are, it'd be great to either get the information connected or you all tell me who we need to reach out to, and happy to follow up. But it's definitely a voice that we need, and it's going to be very valuable in that planning process.
Okay, cool. So maybe, we'll continue to continue to tout this to all our LA members and things like that. We'll do some we'll do some pushing out of this.
And I'm happy to, provide any updates that have been
Sure.
ongoing. Just make sure this group is caught up on anything.
Awesome.
Great. Does anybody else have any questions for Sully?
Well, I was going to ask when I think I sent you a direct message, Sully, and I realize now that you haven't really started your organization. It's in the planning process. So sometime next year, would you be willing to be a speaker to appoint the SCORE mentors with your organization's work?
Oh no, absolutely. Happy to, we'll actually be bringing on, hopefully if we get the designation, we'll be bringing on an entire team that's going to be managing this project. And so we'll have one specifically for kind of that community outreach. So I'm happy to follow up with you and make sure we stay connected. So when and if we do hear back, we can make sure to follow up with that and coordinate.
It would probably be, I gather, you'll be up and running maybe by March.
Oh yeah, by March, we'll definitely, we'll definitely be going by then.
Okay, I'll get back to you, or I put my email in the chat. And
Okay, I'm gonna make sure to save it really quick.
yeah, we have, I'll get with you, but we have meetings on the third Thursday of the month at 11. So we would have you just as a guest speaker and talk about your organization and how SCORE might fit in, or we might be able to refer people in small business to you.
No, that'd be great. And I know a lot of people in the call are also, you said, connected with maybe some other parts, other organizations, other coalitions.
Yeah.
So definitely want to make sure we're getting the word out about this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So we will make sure to follow up via email with all of these resources, the slide deck, all the resources that you shared in the chat. Maybe Sully, we can get whatever the outreach team is working on, in terms of getting organizations to link up to your 220 group. Maybe we can get specific content, so that I could send that out to the LA group, because obviously everybody is not here, but we do have a wider net of organizations that are connected to LA. So we want to make sure that they get, whatever information is needed to get connected, so that the small business voice is included in this, because maybe folks don't even know how to get connected. So we want to make sure we pass that on. So if nobody else has any other questions, we want to make sure you all register for our meetup in December. It'll be fun, networking, and a marketplace. Just by a quick show of hands, does somebody have a small business in mind for the pop-up? You all can raise your hand like this. Cool. Okay, so I want to, we'll be sending a few, we'll help you out with that outreach, and we'll send you a blurb that you can send your small businesses so that they could sign up in that email to make it easy peasy for you. And Sully, I look forward to seeing whatever that sweater is. I'm assuming a ugly Christmas sweater, maybe.
I'm going to win the competition. No, I'm coming.
We should add that to the Eventbrite.
Yeah,
Feel free to.
Ugly sweater party.
There will be a prize for the ugliest sweater. We can bring you guys a prize.
I've already got something in mind, and I'm ready to blow away the competition.
Cool. You all heard it first, so get your sweaters ready. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you.